the WWE officially that WWE champion Drew McIntyre has tested positive for COVID-19. This is an unfortunate story. This is the times we live in. We are aware of it. It is everywhere in our everyday lives. And many, many WWE superstars and wrestling stars in general have dealt with the virus, whether it be the different regulations, whether it be how it hinders the performance. There's no fans at shows, and several people getting infected and having to fight the virus themselves, including The Rock, AJ Styles, and now the reigning WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. One of the biggest stars in WWE, currently dealing with that issue right now. WWE has also confirmed he is in quarantine at this time. He was scheduled to take on Randy Orton tonight on tonight's Monday Night Raw on the USA Network in a non-title match. And in a couple weeks, he would take on WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg in a title match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. The status of those matches, obviously, we will not see him on in the ring with Randy Orton tonight. The status of his Royal Rumble match still up in the air. We do know that Randy Orton will be present on tonight's WWE Raw. And WrestleVotes, which has given us many different informations about the inner workings of WWE, is stating that Randy Orton is still expected to be in a main event match with a quote-unquote suitable replacement. So an unfortunate situation here with Drew McIntyre. Hopefully he is all right. Now, obviously, what we know about the virus. We're just a wrestling website. We know that everyone deals with it differently, and everyone has a different way of getting past it. And I hope he and his family are safe. Our best wishes are to him and just to beat this thing. And as most of us want to do, is deal with this thing and get past it here. It is an unfortunate situation. People sounding off here with their different takes. Cindy Nickelbach, Neilbach, sending in her prayers as well. So keep that well. Sound off in the comments below. If you're with us live, go ahead and sound off as well. If you're just joining us, we are covering this developing story, which I can tell you is not developed. We know for sure. It's confirmed by WWE. Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion, has tested positive for COVID-19. We learned this just a few hours ago. Now, I want to slow people down here on this because we've had many different people hit us up on socials and ask questions like, hey, does this mean there's an outbreak? Anytime there's a case like this, there's always a question of an outbreak or anything like that. At this time, as I'm speaking to you right now, no. All we know is this is just a case with Drew McIntyre, and WWE has been forward about it, and they've put it out there. So that is where it currently stands. We do not know the case status of anyone else in wrestling, and running off without any confirmation is unreasonable. All right. And purely speculative. So definitely let us know what you think about this. We don't know as well when he tested positive, how long he's been in quarantine. It's worth noting the last time we saw Drew McIntyre was on last week's Monday Night Raw. So he's in the ring. He had a championship match with Keith Lee. Very, very great match. And then had that showdown with Goldberg, and fans maybe were at least talking about Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble at the end of the month. And depending on how this goes, that match, as far as we know, is still happening. It has not been canceled. So we don't know at what point he tested positive, but likely that was within the last week. All right. And we will find out more in the days ahead. Other news we're following, of course, are tonight's Monday Night Raw. Raw coming off a strong, improved rating last week. And it looks like they are pivoting here with Drew McIntyre being off the show. Another big name in WWE that we've not seen on Monday Night Raw in quite some time is Triple H. All right. He is the chief operating officer of the WWE, and he will be on tonight's Monday Night Raw. He is set to open the show. There is no known idea of what he is going to do. But just a few weeks out from Royal Rumble, certainly interesting as to what he's going to say. What do you think he's going to say? I think it's the more fun thing to ask. This is one of those speculative things that you can ask people. People asking, is it true Triple H is coming to Monday Night Raw? Yes, that is true. We do know that to be true. I'm just reporting it as we speak about it. What do you guys think Monday Night Raw is going to be about tonight? I think there's going to be a big pivot here as to what could happen without Drew on the show. And it'll be a fluid situation that is developing in terms of like how serious a case it is. And for everyone, it could be different. And could it go in a different direction? Joe Hale saying it would be cool if Orton versus Goldberg was tonight. Well, I don't think you're going to get Goldberg in a match on TV. I think they're going to save Goldberg for Royal Rumble. I mean, could it revert though to Orton versus Goldberg at Royal Rumble? There's a chance of that. Lance texting in from Australia. Thank you so much, Lance. If you guys are with us for the first time, by the way, on YouTube, on Facebook, go ahead and like the show. Just go ahead and like the show. There's many of you watching for the first time. Go ahead and like it, subscribe as well. Turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. We are live after Monday Night Raw, after AEW and NXT on Wednesdays. And we also have shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so 4 days a week. Plus we're doing extra bonus things like today in our podcast, our audio podcast, and our video channels. We just dropped a big interview with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. So go check that out. We have greetings from Tijuana, Mexico, south of the border. Thank you so much, Giovanni. Tell us what you guys think is going to go on here with Triple H. I think he's going to make an announcement about the Royal Rumble. I think he's going to make some type of announcement about the Royal Rumble, and it'll be pertaining to something with the Rumble match. I don't have any inside sources. I'm being purely speculative. So you out there, you right there on the other side of my finger here, on the other side of that camera, tell me what you think is going to happen with Triple H tonight on Monday Night Raw. I want to know. Go ahead and shout off. Tell us what you think is going to be here. Carl with us. Thank you so much, Carl. Always like your messages from the UK. Says most likely it won't be too serious for Drew. He can easily be back in time for the Rumble. I don't want to say that because for everyone it can be different. Everyone has a different experience with COVID. Maybe some of you guys have dealt with it. Maybe you know someone who's dealt with it. It is a very, very different experience here. Go ahead and sound off and let us know what you guys think here. We have Hydro texting in. What is the outcome of the Royal Rumble if Drew is not ready from the Rona? Well, like I said, it's a fluid situation. Some people just joining us late. WWE's confirmed this, that he has tested positive and he is in quarantine. It's going to be a moving situation. I think it's going to be week to week. As I mentioned, not everyone bounces back from this. Oh, he'll deal with it in 10 days. He'll be done with it in 2 weeks. It's not that simple. It isn't that simple for everyone. And to rush to that conclusion is just that. It's just rushing to a conclusion that you want to meet to. Science dictates this, guys. Medical science will dictate what happens with Drew McIntyre. We've had a similar situation over at NXT, where they had several different medical things come up, injuries in matches. Karrion Kross, he got hurt in his first match, winning the title, dropped the title the next day. Finn Balor comes back. He gets the title. He gets his jaw broken. We don't see him nearly in the ring for 2 months. He just got back. He was out of the ring for a long time. He's cutting promos, but he had his jaw wired shut. This situation, hopefully Drew is okay. I mean, obviously, I'm not rooting for him to be ill or anything like that. But I'm not rooting for anyone else to obviously to have COVID-19. Hopefully this is an isolated situation and we're not talking about other wrestlers and other talent and other people in the crew too. There's a lot more people involved in WWE or wrestling shows than just the people you see in the ring, by the way, dealing with this issue. So, and that is what I'm saying. I think we're at a different point now with COVID where maybe in the spring we would be upset with the company and saying, oh, how could they do this? How do they do? There's as much testing as you can do, but it only takes a couple of slip-ups for stuff like this to happen. And it's unfortunate. I don't think there should be any anger towards Drew. Hopefully the circumstances in which this happened were reasonable. I know people that have been very observant, vigilant about their behavior and how they're masking and where they're around people and how they distance from people and testing and bubbling and all those different things. So it'll be interesting as to how WWE deals with this, as they had outbreaks earlier this year and they addressed those and ramped up testing and rapid testing and quarantining and contact tracing. It's a very challenging circumstance logistically to handle here. Other questions people jumping into, Edge is already being talked about. So if Triple H is coming back tonight, is he going to announce Edge? Spencer Worden saying this, a surprise return against RKO. I think that'd be a way to go. There's been speculation, the last time we saw Edge was in the ring at Backlash and he got injured, but was in a really, really great match. Many people think, oh, this should have been his big return match. He came back at the Royal Rumble in January 2020. It was absolutely fantastic. A story that WrestleZone broke, by the way. And that was one of the best moments of the year. Fantastic. Had a match at WrestleMania with no fans. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. I heard some people not like it. I actually really enjoyed it and thought it was very emotional. I thought the Backlash match was one of the best matches that WWE put on pay-per-view all year long. An incredible return for Edge, a guy that we never thought would wrestle, that was on the shelf for nearly, 9-10 years and had really just transitioned out of being an in-ring performer, was in acting, was doing podcasting, was doing a bunch of different things. So I'm very, very surprised that they would go in this direction now. At least that's how I would feel as a fan. As an analyst, I can tell you it makes complete sense. If Drew is on the shelf and Edge is healthy and everyone else is healthy and this already has built-in organic hatred, bam, let's go. Because I think people would be completely on board, hardcore fans, casual fans, with Edge versus Orton. This is the guy who put him on the shelf. This is the guy that Edge obviously has intentions to take out and has clear motivation to take him out. And if these guys get to go into WrestleMania again, I'm completely on board with it. I could be on board with it. Let's see where it goes. Here we go. Other questions, other different thoughts. What do you think's going on with Triple H tonight on Monday at Raw? Nick saying Triple H is going to compete in the Royal Rumble. Well, he did this a few years ago. He was upset with the status of his superstars. He was the big authority figure. That Royal Rumble leading into WrestleMania in Texas, he put himself in that position. Then he took on Roman Reigns. And it was a WrestleMania main event that I don't think a lot of fans live at the event enjoyed. I enjoyed watching it at home, but I could see some fans in person turning on it. At least that's what it sounded like. But at home, I enjoyed that match all right. And I'll say this, Triple H entering the Rumble, I think people are always going to be into the idea of a big star being in the Royal Rumble. Triple H is still a very big name. He will only wrestle, if he does wrestle at all, a handful of times a year. And this would be a position to do that. And this would definitely light a fire for the Royal Rumble. WWE obviously has no problem going to names that you know from the past to spark interest in what is currently going on with current superstars. Be interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Other well wishes coming in here for Drew McIntyre and different guesses about what's coming up here with Triple H tonight on Monday Night Raw. Could Triple H be introducing Damian Priest? Could we see Triple H take one of his big names from NXT and bring them over to the main roster of Raw and SmackDown? Well, at least for Raw, it looks like the reports and the words that we've gotten at WrestleZone is that Damian Priest is bound for Fox Network and SmackDown, and was reportedly positioned to be involved in an angle, potentially. It doesn't seem like that could happen now. Could change. With Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen right now, but he is still imminently, quote unquote, imminently bound to be on SmackDown. Now, obviously, that could change, but that is the report we had last week. We have heard that Damian Priest is on the move, along with Rhea Ripley, who is reportedly on the move as well. Omar, with his guess about what Triple H is going to do tonight on Monday Night Raw, he says, I think Hunter is going to make the Rumble match for the WWE Championship, so they would effectively take the title, Omar. So Omar, let's give thumbs up to Omar. All right, so Omar, you really just flipped the script here on me, Omar, saying they're going to take the title off Drew McIntyre, all right, because of this COVID situation, which they've acknowledged online. Are they going to acknowledge it on TV tonight? I don't know, but people are going to complain about it anyway. Oh, they didn't do what I think they should do. It's neither here nor there. Drew is not in a position to safely perform right now, so it's okay. Well, hopefully he's okay. I think that's the most important thing. And so if the title's on him, do you make the winner of this match the champion going to WrestleMania? And then what does that do for WrestleMania? Because the winner of Royal Rumble gets to point at the sign. Point at the sign. Where's the sign in the Thunder Zone? The sign is out there somewhere, okay? So he points at the WrestleMania sign. That's the winner of the Royal Rumble. One guy, one gal, Royal Rumble. So now they win the championship? I'm not against that idea. They've done it before. It's interesting. It's compelling. Certainly a way to crown a new champion. And you definitely have people from SmackDown wanting to do that. Other people saw saying Triple H announcing Rhea Ripley on Raw tonight. I think Rhea Ripley would be a great addition Monday Night Raw. And certainly a great way to pair up Charlotte and Rhea Ripley if they wanted to do that again. That was a great match at last year's WrestleMania. It's so odd. Oh, big fan of the show, always with us. I love saying the names of our frequent visitors and viewers. James Espanto Fernando Taguay says, what would you think of stripping the title of Drew and having the winner of the Royal Rumble? See, another follow-up question. Omar and James Espanto on the same trip here. I would feel really bad for Drew if this is the way he lost the title. Now, he's had the title for the most part since WrestleMania, defeating Brock Lesnar clean in the middle in front of nobody at the WWE Performance Center at a very awkward WrestleMania. And this year's WrestleMania may still be the same thing. Hopefully some fans are there in some form or another. And he did lose the title for a brief period of time to Randy Orton following Hell in a Cell. And then won it back on TV. If he loses the title in this circumstance, and he is healthy enough to be back at the Royal Rumble, I'm being purely speculative, okay, about this. If Drew McIntyre is healthy enough to be back at the Royal Rumble, and he's been stripped of the title, and wins the title back to go into the Royal Rumble, that could be unnecessary. I can see people being upset about that. I don't see them going that route. But if Drew is out of the picture, but then comes back into the picture, he's going to be in a championship match at WrestleMania. If I'm feeling, all right, that Drew McIntyre hopefully will be healthy and will have no residual issues from this. And I'm hoping for that. I'm not saying that's happening. But Drew McIntyre coming back into the picture, if this title is taking off him, he's in the title picture at WrestleMania for sure. The title is taken off of him for reasons he can't control, right? So that's the way I see it here. Different takes here. Kurt with a big one here. The Beast is always bound to return around WrestleMania time. He says, what if Brock Lesnar is going to compete in the Royal Rumble? No word on that. We haven't heard anything about Brock. And the last we heard is Brock isn't really under a contract, but a lot of people feel if he's going to wrestle anywhere, it's going to be in the WWE. No word on what Brock is going to do here. Continue to tell in the comments below what you guys think Triple H is going to say on tonight's Monday at Raw. Obviously, this video may have a short life here. If you're watching Monday at Raw later tonight, we will be live, by the way, later tonight on Facebook and YouTube, and you'll be able to get it in your podcast ears. These kind of news flash videos I do in the middle of the afternoon, these are video only. They have a shorter lifespan here. And if you want to listen to anything we do, including all of our live post shows, they're all in the podcast feed. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Money, 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 money. Exclusive interview with him is up right now. We just dropped that. Ernest says, let him keep the title. Let him keep the title. He says, Drew, if he's in this situation, let him keep the title. Don't strip him of the belt. I could see plenty of people being in that same camp here. Marcus Wilson jumping in here saying, I hope Drew gets better, but this is why I'm Team SmackDown. If you take away Drew's world title and Randy Orton and the Fiend saga, what do you have on Raw right now? Yeah, Drew is a big part of Monday at Raw. He is a huge pivotal part of Monday at Raw. Also, another thing to point out here is, what do you do with The Miz? What do you do with The Miz? Because he has the Money in the Bank briefcase. He can cash that in on the WWE champion whenever he wants. Does he cash it in now? Is he allowed to cash it in now? Triple H is going to make some announcement here. And I think it's going to involve something big, maybe related to this title situation at the Royal Rumble. So we're going to see what happens. I think tonight's Monday Night Raw is going to have a lot of extra interest in it because of what's going on here. Ben just saying Triple H steps in, takes the spot of Drew McIntyre, and he takes on Goldberg. Is that an appealing match to you? Is that what you would want to see happen? I don't know. I think Triple H taking on somebody he hasn't taken on before would be much more of an attraction. I was in the camp of I was actually into the idea of Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg, just in terms of styles and clash of styles, especially if Drew gets to beat him. And I think Goldberg can take the loss. He's a Hall of Famer. Doesn't change anything. Steve texting in some long shot. But what if Triple H comes back tonight and forms a new evolution? Flair, Orton, Triple H, Goldberg. No, that's not going to happen, Steve. I'm sorry, Steve. No new evolution. Does this mean Damian Priest gets called up earlier than expected? There's been people that have been called up before WrestleMania. It's always a challenging time to be called up right before WrestleMania. I don't know if I'd want to be called up right before WrestleMania because you can get lost in the shuffle unless there's already a plan for you. And this is kind of a time when there's a lot of people already kind of know what they're doing for WrestleMania by this time of year. I don't think if I was on the WWE roster that I would want to join Monday at Raw at this time. I'd want to know where things are. Trying to get more of your comments here as my thing is all the way scrolling past me. So many of you guys commenting here. Joe says he wants to see Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. They've done that match before. It was on Payback. It was a great pay-per-view match here. Question about Mustafa Ali flying by me here. What's up with Mustafa Ali and WWE management? Well, about a week ago, you have Raw Talk. And Raw Talk is the WWE post show after Monday Night Raw. And last week's Monday Night Raw did very well. Improved rating. Got above 2 million. Good for them. It's a very good number for them recently. And that episode of Monday Night Raw's Raw Talk, their post show, had Mustafa Ali on it, going off about the legends and how they had 3 hours of TV built around legends and how they had paved a way, but let me have the way. And kind of just taking the whole retribution route of suppressed superstars that haven't been given the opportunity they wanted. And he went off in the company, and he was, thing with Raw Talk and Talking Smack, the other WWE Network post show they do for their big weekly TV shows, is you see the superstars get kind of talking points, but they really get to cut those promos off the page. It's very loose. And all it really is a handful of promos for about a half an hour and change. And they tend to be very entertaining. And you see people share these on social media. And it's worth noting that both those shows aren't even on the paywall of the WWE Network. They're free. They're meant to be shared. And a lot of people find talking notes from those quite a bit. You've had Paul Heyman on Talking Smack Saturday mornings recently. And it seems like every week I see people tagging at WrestleZone and talking to us about all the different things that are going on that Paul Heyman is kind of instigating, or people are instigating with him as the manager of Roman Reigns, the WWE Universal Champion. It's a very compelling scenario. Don't sleep on those shows, especially if you want to see exciting, shooty promos. People get a little bit more controversial, a little bit off the page, but still, playing up the story. That's the way to go. We're getting a little bit into deep waters. Usually with these short afternoon videos, I'll do only like 15, 20 minutes, but you guys have a lot of questions here. A lot of different things here. Ben Warden saying, what if we see Adam Cole, Bay, show up on Monday Night Raw? I would be very surprised by that. I don't see it going in that direction. I think he has a little bit more time left in NXT. Maybe we should be talking about that after WrestleMania, but I don't mind being wrong either. People continue to send in their well wishes and positive energy to one Drew McIntyre, who we unfortunately can confirm, if you're just joining us, he has tested positive for COVID-19. That is the unfortunate story we come to you with this afternoon. We will be live after Monday Night Raw tonight, okay? If you haven't done it yet, subscribe on YouTube and hit the like button. All right, make sure your notifications are on so you know exactly when we go live, and get right in here in the Thunder Zone with me, with your comments on screen all the time. Can't watch all the time? You can watch on demand, or you can listen. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast as well. And remember, when watching wrestling, say it with me, enjoy wrestling.